Most of us interact with the internet as something invisible. You tap a screen, and information seems to materialize out of the air, pulling data from servers thousands of miles away without a single physical wire in sight. Because this process feels so weightless, it's easy to assume this global traffic is beamed through the sky. When we send an email overseas, we often picture it bouncing off a network of satellites orbiting the Earth. While satellites do provide internet to remote areas, they simply cannot handle the volume, speed, or energy efficiency required by a modern, hyper-connected civilization. The reality of global communication is entirely terrestrial. Over 98% of all international internet, data, and telephone traffic actually travels along the bottom of the ocean. The concept of a weightless cloud is an illusion. Every digital action we take relies heavily on a highly physical, vulnerable network installed deep in the pitch-black depths of the sea. This map shows the massive, sprawling network of active undersea cables connecting the continents. These blue lines represent the precise physical routes that link North America, Europe, Asia, and beyond. Despite the planetary scale of this infrastructure, the hardware itself is surprisingly small. The cables snaking across the ocean floor are roughly the thickness of a standard garden hose. Yet these narrow channels function as a planetary nervous system. They quietly carry trillions of daily interactions, from high-frequency financial trades to personal video calls. To maintain this connection, the hardware must survive one of the harshest environments on Earth. These lines lie exposed on the seabed, enduring immense crushing pressure and total darkness. Our modern digital world doesn't exist by default. It requires constant human intervention, ongoing maintenance, and monumental engineering efforts to keep the data flowing. The secret to moving so much information through such a small space lies in fiber optics. Inside the core of every cable are strands of glass thinner than a human hair, where digital data is converted into rapid pulses of light. To push maximum traffic through these threads, engineers use dense wavelength division multiplexing. Instead of a single beam, light separates into distinct wavelengths. By splitting the signal into different colors, one fiber carries multiple data streams simultaneously without interference, scaling capacity to terabits per second. But physics presents a major obstacle. Even traveling through the most pristine glass, light slowly weakens and fades over vast oceanic distances. To prevent the signal from dying, devices called repeaters are spliced into the line every few dozen kilometers. Copper conductors run alongside the glass, carrying high-voltage electricity from shore to power these repeaters, which actively amplify the fading light so it can complete its journey. These cables are active, electrified arteries, buzzing with power and light as they snake across the dark seafloor. When these lines finally emerge from the ocean, they enter highly secure, bunker-like facilities on the coast, known as submarine cable landing stations. Here, specialized equipment catches the incoming light pulses and translates them back into electrical signals, which are then distributed into the massive terrestrial server cabinets and data centers that power our local networks. Getting the hardware to this point is a massive logistical challenge. Long before a cable touches the water, survey teams spend months scanning the seabed to map out a safe route, meticulously avoiding underwater fault lines, landslide zones, and busy shipping lanes. Once the route is clear, specialized cable-laying ships are deployed. These purpose-built vessels load thousands of miles of assembled cable into massive circular storage tanks deep inside their hulls. During the voyage, heavy wheels inside the ship's linear cable engine carefully grip the line, controlling the tension to ensure the cable pays out evenly and lies perfectly flat on the pre-surveyed ocean floor. In deep water, the cable can rest safely exposed on the calm seabed, but closer to shore, where human activity is higher, the lines must be heavily armored with steel wire or physically plowed into trenches for protection. Every time you load a foreign website or send an international message, your data relies entirely on the success of these grueling, months-long maritime operations. Despite the armor and careful planning, the network is fragile. Cables are severed frequently, usually by ordinary human activity, like a commercial fishing net snagging a line, or a ship dragging its anchor across the bottom. When a break happens, the effects are immediate. Internet speeds throttle down, connections drop, and entire geographic regions can suddenly find themselves cut off from the global economy. Repairing the damage requires dispatching a specialized maintenance ship to the exact coordinates of the fault. The crew must drag a grapnel hook across the seafloor, catch the broken line, and haul it up through thousands of feet of water. On board, technicians cut away the damaged section and meticulously splice the hair-thin glass fibers back together by hand. Only after the line is tested and resealed is it carefully lowered back into the ocean. The seamless, invisible flow of global digital commerce depends entirely on the dirty, expensive, and critical physical labor of these maritime repair crews. This map illustrates how historically these physical pathways were treated as sovereign infrastructure. Submarine cables were funded, built, and tightly controlled by national telecom monopolies, much like railways or state highways. Recently, that dynamic has shifted. As the internet has grown, private tech companies are now bypassing traditional telecom providers and investing directly in laying their own undersea cables. By owning the physical lines, these corporations gain ultimate control over data speeds, lower their long-term operating costs, and guarantee dedicated high-capacity connections between their own global data centers. This rapid privatization raises serious geopolitical questions about what happens when multinational corporations, rather than nation-states, own and control the physical pathways of global communication. The internet is a physical, fiercely contested space. The next time a web page loads instantly from across the world, remember that your data didn't float through the sky. It traveled along a thread of glass, resting quietly in the dark ocean.